Anthony Venn-Brown, thank you for talking to me.
No, my pleasure. Again.
Can you tell me why marriage equality is such an important issue to you?
Well, it's important to me because, number one, I have many gay friends. And the majority of my friends are in long-term relationships. And to think that they cannot access an institution which heterosexual people can within our Australian society is probably a last bit of inequality that needs to be sorted out.
You come from a Christian background.
I do.
There's often a stereotype that Christians and people of other faiths are very opposed to marriage equality. How true do you think that stereotype is?
It's not a true stereotype because within the Christian church you get a whole variety of beliefs and approaches and attitudes. So, on the far right you do get the extreme, really extreme, almost hateful people. Let's say God hates fags, for example. But, we have them here in Australia too. Maybe they won't be running around carrying signs saying God hates fags, but of course they will always speak very disparagingly of gay and lesbian people. Would never actually probably use the word. They were talking about homosexuals, as Fred and I always talk about homosexuals, and they speak very disparagingly about us, about our community and about our relationships. So you get that, and then moving back you get all the people that some people are not sure about it, some people have absolutely no problem with it, and some people are, as Christians, are advocates for marriage equality.
You've been involved, I think originally you were brought up as an Anglican, you then became a Baptist, and then you were involved with the Assemblies of God.
You've read the book.
I've done my research. I'm a professional, I am.
We should say A Life of Unlearning you've read.
A Life of Unlearning, a great book, thoroughly recommend it. How did you square your beliefs in marriage equality with your actual church?
Oh, that's never been an issue for me because, I resigned from the ministry in 1991 and, then I went through my own personal resolution of my faith and my sexuality. And, when you know gay and lesbian people and when when they are your friends and when you see their relationships, you see there is nothing different between them essentially and a heterosexual couple. So, I've never really seen a problem with it. What I do think is amazing is the shift within our own community about that.
Can you tell me a bit more about that shift?
Yes, because I remember when, I know that like at Stonewall and at Mardi Gras, the thought that we would ever be able to be married was never even on the radar, not even a part of their perception or of their conscious awareness. So I remember when it was introduced here in Australia as a possibility, that there was almost like a backlash within the gay community, and people came, that's just a heterosexual model. No, we don't need to adopt that heterosexual model. And I remember one night I was at Fruits in Suits, the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Business Association, and they were making a donation to the Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby, and the person taking that actually was talking about the progress they were making, and all these people burst into applause, and I just looked around at my friends and went, did you see that? Like, oh my God, there has been a shift. And I think that as more people become aware of the actual issues around equality, and they become more conscious of how they are being discriminated against, then there's been this amazing rise of support, but not just the gay and lesbian people, their family, their friends, and corporations.
You mentioned that there are many people who believe that same-sex marriage or marriage equality would be aping heterosexuals and heteronormative. How do you reassure them?
Well, they can have that view if they want to, but, I perform ceremonies, my self-commitment ceremonies, which, we could say they're illegal, but there's no legal setting. But it is the same thing, when we stand there as witnesses of this couple who are saying to each other, I love you and I'm committed to you for my life, for better, for worse, and all those things. And the tears start to well up in the eyes, and the people, the family and friends there are moved. you've now got this choice, which previously we didn't have.
What do you say to people, obviously you come from a Christian background, who oppose it on religious grounds, who quote the Bible?
Yeah. What would I say to them? That's a good question. Not what I say to them. Don't be silly. We are no longer living in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve have died. There is no such thing as traditional marriage. If you go back through the Old Testament, you see that marriage, people had multiple wives, that people got married because of property and to increase the size of their family. It was about status. For a Christian to say, I believe in traditional marriage, usually reflects their ignorance of what the Bible says. Even in the New Testament, we see there that people had more than one wife.
So marriage has evolved.
Marriage has evolved. Well, there was a time when people of different colour couldn't get married. I remember growing up in Australia, I was brought up Anglican, and there was a very, very anti-Catholic feeling, and I was told by my parents, don't ever bring home a Catholic girl to marry. There could not be interfaith marriages, like even within Christian denominations. Now that was very, very strong, Well, that's no longer there, well, in most cases. So, things have changed. So I'd say to the Christians, get with the program. We're living in the 21st century.
Why do you think Australian politicians have been so slow to come on board?
If it wasn't so embarrassing to be hilarious, because it's just the most ridiculous thing. It is, once again, it's all about politics. It's not about equality. And that's a sad thing that, once again, gay and lesbian people have been used as a political football. Some people will not support it because they won't get the votes, and other people will support it because they will. But forget about all that. It is about equality and about love.
A lot of people have talked about plebiscites and referendums. Where do you stand on that?
I don't have a particular view on all that. The polls tell us. The majority of Australians say it's time. Ireland and the US Supreme Court recent rulings, they're just demonstrating that our politicians are lagging sadly behind. And we won't forget this.
Where do the churches in general in Australia stand on marriage equality? Obviously the Anglican Church and the Roman Catholic churches very much oppose it. But are there any faiths that do support it, marriage equality?
The Friends, the Quakers, have always, they're a very progressive church. There isn't any others that I'm aware of at the moment.
Metropolitan Community Church?
Oh, sorry, yes, the Metropolitan Community Church would, yes, of course, yes. What is happening, of course, is there are people who are performing ceremonies, who are Christian ministers, but because there's no legal standing, then they're not being recognised. But they're, at this stage, they're few and far between. And it should be noted too that some Christian conservatives are up in arms. We will be forced to marry gay and lesbian. No, you won't be. That has been something which has been put in place right from the very beginning. So stop fear mongering and let's get on with it.
You've belonged in the past, and you were a founder of Freedom to Be.
Yes.
Is that an organisation that people can approach for more information on marriage equality from a faith-based point of view?
Freedom to Be would be able to assist people in most areas around faith and sexuality.
What can people do to support marriage equality?
Well, what they say is write to your politicians. I think that we have this wonderful thing these days, which wasn't in existence before, which was social media. And look at what happened when the Supreme Court passed marriage equality in the US. It said it was unconstitutional. Facebook went rainbow. It was just incredible, the impact, So let's just keep doing that stuff. Let's just keep reminding everybody that, we're on a path, and we know what the conclusion will be.
What do you think the timeline for marriage equality is?
Oh dear, I don't have the crystal ball with me.
That'll do.
Let me have a look. What do I see? Where do I? What do I see? That's the question that we would all like to know. When is that going to happen? When the battle is long and hard, the victory is even sweeter. So, you know, we've got a bit of time yet. Who knows? Could be towards the end of the year, could be next year. But, you know, it's inevitable and we shouldn't give up.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Life's great and I love my tribe.
Anthony Venn-Brown, thank you very much.
Thanks, William.